So here's something no one tells you when you leave the hospital with your squishy little newborn. You'll get advice about your body, like you're suddenly walking Pinterest board of rehab, weight loss, and bounce back strategies. But let me tell you something up front. Most of what you'll hear, it's not just outdated. It is quietly stealing your joy, your confidence, and your connection to your own body in a place and time where you are already very vulnerable. Today, we're diving into 6 popular postpartum fitness myths that sound helpful, but really keep us stuck, frustrated, and honestly, more tired than we already are. And here's the twist. We are not just going to debunk them, we're going to rewrite them and give you some better practical steps forward so that you can enjoy this postpartum season with strength and grace. So let's dive in. Postpartum is hard. One second we feel like our bodies are miraculous, and the next we feel like we're a complete mess, out of touch with the strong, confident women we used to be. All while the fitness industry pressures us to bounce back as quickly as possible to a body that never looked like it was pregnant to begin with. That's why, whether we're 3 days postpartum or 3 years postpartum, we need the refreshing truth of gospel-focused fitness to give us energy for the physical challenges of motherhood, peace with our postpartum bodies, and kingdom-centered motivation to train for strength and stamina. So mama, whether you're sipping on cold coffee or folding 5-day-old laundry, I pray by listening every Monday, you become equipped, encouraged, and empowered for a strong motherhood, all for God's glory. This is the Strong After Birth podcast. Thanks for joining us. You want to feel strong again, confident in your skin, energized instead of exhausted. But the problem is, postpartum advice is a landmine of conflicting rules. Wait 6 weeks. Don't wait 6 weeks. Don't lift anything heavy. Just walk. But also, get your body back now. Bounce back. Have a belly-only pregnancy. It is no wonder why most new moms either overdo it and burn out or stay stuck in fear, unsure where to begin. This episode is for the mom who's ready for truth over trends and real strength, not just surface level fixes. If you, like me, ever Googled safe workouts after a C-section at 2 a.m., or maybe tried a YouTube ab workout and instantly regretted it because you felt your C-section scar like you had never felt it before, or maybe wondered why walking every day still leaves you feeling weak, or perhaps signed up for a program and felt like a failure by day 3, my dear friend, you are not alone. You are not broken. You are just operating under some myths that don't fit a woman who has just created a human being. Let's start with this simple picture. Imagine trying to rebuild a house after an earthquake. You wouldn't just slap on a fresh coat of paint, call it a day. You would check the foundation. You would reinforce the structure, maybe even call in a specialist to help. Your postpartum body is that house, and it's so important that we create firm foundations and beliefs about our body and our rehab as we begin the postpartum return to fitness. Now, to add to that metaphor, let us add a truth. In Luke 6:48, Jesus describes a wise man who built his house on the rock. When a flood came, the torrent struck that house but could not shake it because it was well built. Postpartum fitness that's built on myths is sand. It will shake when the storm comes. When things get hard or heavy, you will find out that what you believed about what your body was capable of, what you're supposed to do, actually might not shake out the way you want it to. And this isn't about getting your body or your before body back. It is about building a new kind of strength, one that is anchored in truth, grace-filled, and enduring. Here's what changes when we ditch these myths. We can feel proud of our body instead of at war with it. We can train smarter, not harder, and actually see progress in our strength and our endurance and our stamina at the end of the day. And we'll feel grateful that we're not sidelined by injury or burnout, to be able to do the workouts that feel life-giving, to go on the run that helps you feel like yourself. You can model strength for your kids that's rooted in stewardship and not in shame. Romans 12:2 reminds us not to be conformed to this world, but to be transformed by the renewal of our mind. And that includes what the world says your fitness should look like. Because trust me, You don't have to do it the way everyone says you should. So let's dive in, shall we? Myth number 1, wait 6 weeks before exercising. This is one of the most common pieces of postpartum fitness advice out there. And can I just tell you, it really grinds my gears. You're told to do absolutely nothing for 6 weeks and then boom, start back into your regular fitness routine. But here is the truth. You do not need to wait until full 6 weeks to start moving. The reason why this gets so widely spread is because doctors, OBGYNs, and obstetricians are not trained on exercise. It is not their fault. I do not shame them for this. They are just uneducated about postpartum exercise. So if not knowing what exercise does to the body, not knowing all of the different methods, tools, and strategies of exercise, it can get just a complete blank slate. Someone is an exerciser or they are not. There are so many niches within exercises. There are such a continuum of people who are exercising at different intensities, different levels. And so that's why this very blanket piece of advice can actually be really harmful. People will wait until 6 weeks to do anything. But here's the reality. 6 weeks of zero movement is outdated advice. In fact, you can start gentle movement, pelvic floor exercises, much sooner. So here's what to do instead. Start with pelvic floor exercises and gentle core engagement. Think posterior pelvic tilts. Think anterior pelvic tilts. Think cat-cows. Think thread the needles. These are all exercises, by the way, that are included in the 3-day core restore plan that I have absolutely free for you, linked in the show notes. These can be as early as 2 to 4 weeks postpartum, depending on how you are feeling. These are things that can be done in bed. Another thing that you can do is to begin walking daily. Now, when I say a daily walk, a lot of people jump into that 30 to 60 minute time frame. What if you went for a 5-minute walk? Those 5-minute walks can help with circulation and can be a great way to reconnect with your body postpartum, particularly if you have had a C-section. Going through the epidural, going through all of those things can really disconnect you from your lower body. And so I found particularly those gentle, slow, short duration walks to be really helpful in the first couple of weeks. And then maybe you have a vaginal birth and you're feeling good by week 3. Start with some light bodyweight exercises like bodyweight squats to a chair or lunges or split squats. This is a great way to see what your body is capable of and start slow, start light. See how your body responds. If it doesn't feel good or if you notice increased bleeding, then stop, wait, and try another day. That is A-okay. Let's move on to myth number 2. Lifting weights will make you hurt yourself postpartum. I've actually heard this from quite a few clients during an intake call where somebody told them that and they were really nervous, so they never began lifting weights again and were really anxious about picking it back up, even though they had no energy, felt like they had very low muscle tone, and had a lot of back pain and felt like they weren't themselves because they weren't exercising regularly. You might have been told to avoid strength training, especially with weights after having a baby, but here is the truth. Strength training is actually one of the best things you can do postpartum as long as you build up your strength gradually. Here's my hot take. Avoiding weights completely could actually be more harmful than it is helpful, especially because you need that strength in your core and pelvic floor to support your body in the long run. I think a lot of women feel like motherhood is hard and heavy because their bodies are weak and not strong. I say that with so much love. So here's what we can do instead. Start with light body weight exercises and build from there. If doing a lunge or a split squat body weight for 10 reps is absolutely exhausting for you, you might not be ready for weights, but that doesn't mean that you can't build up to get there. Gradually incorporate resistance with light dumbbells and resistance bands to build strength safely. If you have been doing it with body weight for 2 months and it feels strong, or you're just doing 15 or 30 reps and you're not fatigued, I'm sorry, but you're not building muscle. You are definitely getting movement. You are probably burning some calories, but you are not building muscle. In order for us to build muscle, we have to have what is called progressive overload, and we have to have that level of fatigue. So focus on controlled movements here. Add in a dumbbell. Start with a 10-pound weight. And then maybe when 10 feels light and you're challenged by the time that you get to 10 to 12 reps, increase the weight, girl. Go for it. It is an incredible and empowering thing when you pick up a 20 or 25 pound dumbbell and you're like, oh, this isn't that heavy anymore. It's so empowering. Focus on that controlled movement. This does not mean that you have to start heavy or start with a barbell. Start where you feel comfortable and gradually increase your resistance from there. Myth number 3, cardio is the fastest way to lose the baby weight. If you have been trying to get back to your pre-pregnancy shape, you might think cardio is the fastest way. You might have been told by an Instagram ad that you have to walk a mile every day. And I'm not saying walking is bad, but the reality is cardio isn't the secret to changing your body composition. Strength training is. You do not need to run miles or do HIIT every day to see the results. And in fact, doing too much cardio can actually lead to muscle loss, slowing down your metabolism and extra stress on your nervous system. And I don't know a single mom in my mom community who is signing up for that. But no one talks about this. So what do we do instead? Prioritize strength training 2 to 3 times a week. And when I say strength training, I do not mean jumping around with dumbbells and doing multiple complicated exercises for 15 to 30 reps. I mean progressive strength training, boring basic squats, pull-ups, push-ups, lunges, step-ups, peel-off presses, boring and basic exercises that you can overload with more weight, added tempos, increased range of motion, or pauses. This type of training boosts your metabolism. This type of training helps to build your energy and your strength back up. And this type of training is what helps to build muscle. As we build muscle on our body, we are increasing what is called our resting energy expenditure. Your RER, or resting energy expenditure, means that you are burning more calories throughout the day, and a body that is burning more calories tends to function better when it is fueled for those calories. So yes, does cardio burn calories? Absolutely. Is it the best way for moms to lose fat? Absolutely not. If you are a mom who wants energy, who wants strength, you need to focus on building muscle, not for the point of looking ultra jacked, but because you want energy. That is my primary driver to build muscle, because the more muscle I have on my body, the more glycogen or energy is stored in those muscles, and the more energy I carry with me on a day-to-day basis. Talk about cool. Okay, so here's what we can do instead. Strength training 2 to 3 times a week. Shout out to True Strength Builder, who just got a nice little upgrade to 3 days a week for 20 minutes. It is a progressive strength training plan. Might just be the one you're looking for if you are that woman who needs a plan to follow, needs a coach in your corner to hold you accountable and help you when things get crazy. Next is to eat a protein-rich diet. I encourage my clients to eat either 1 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight if they are tracking their macros, and if they're not open to tracking their macros, which is a-okay for moms, then to eat 1/3 of your plate full of a lean protein source. Adding in that rich protein diet helps us support muscle building while also helping to balance our hormones. So it is a win-win for us postpartum mamas. Moving along to number 4, running or high-intensity workouts are off limits postpartum. Now, many new moms are told to steer clear of high-intensity or impact activities like running or jumping for the first few months postpartum. But here's the truth. Running and jumping may not be out for you immediately, but they don't need to be completely off limits either. Here's a hot take. If you are avoiding running, you might actually be holding back your recovery. When done the right way, running can be a really empowering goal, but you've got to build a solid foundation first. So if you want to get back to those higher intensity exercises, here's what I'd recommend. Start with low impact. Start walking. If you can walk for 45 minutes, if you can walk for an hour and not notice that heaviness in your pelvic floor, then maybe you can start to add in jogging and walking intervals. Or maybe start with swimming or cycling or rowing, another great way to build up your aerobic endurance without that pelvic floor pressure. Number 2 is to strengthen your pelvic floor to prepare it. Doing different types of Kegels with fast contraction here can be very, very helpful, particularly if you are able to do a fast contraction of your pelvic floor followed by a fast relaxation. That is what is needed for those higher impact activities like running, that we have that protection and that preparation to be responsive while we are running. Doing other core exercises like pelvic tilts and breath work while we are doing single leg strength exercises should be a priority if running is your goal. And number 3 is to progress gradually. Once your body is ready and you have noticed that you're able to maybe start going to a run jog or a jog run, you can add in maybe some higher intensity sprint work. Now, this is only if your pelvic floor is prepared for it. This is something that you can work up to, and I hope that you are feeling empowered to do so. Myth number 5, you've heard this before, you likely knew it was coming, is that you need to bounce back fast or you're failing. The pressure to get back to your old body or bounce back quickly feels so overwhelming. And the reality is that bouncing back just is not the goal. It is about embracing your postpartum body and focusing on building strength and health, not just your appearance. Listen, mama, I know you want to feel like yourself again. But can I just encourage you that you are yourself right now? You find yourself sharing those phrases over and over and speaking that over yourself. Can you just stop for a second, just stop the mind from running and say, I am myself right now. We need to start loving our bodies where they are right now and learn to become who we are meant to be right now. To learn in this season, what does health look like for me and how can I take the next step to steward it better? Here is what I want you to do instead of thinking of bouncing back. First, shift your focus from appearance to function. Ask how can I be stronger? How can I get more capable? How can I become more mobile? Number 2 is to focus on building muscle through strength training and nourishing your body with food that supports both hormone balance and muscle growth. I could probably do a 12-part series on building muscle or nourishing your body. But you've likely already heard a couple of those, and definitely look back through my podcast episodes because I have multiple ones on these. But overall, when we focus on building muscle, like I talked about earlier, we increase that resting energy expenditure. We increase our energy. We help to feel stronger. We tend to have less joint pain. These are all beautiful things that have nothing to do with getting back to a specific size. And then finally, I want you to practice a hefty dose of self-compassion. Because Christ has compassion on you, you can have compassion on yourself, even when you get a little judgy. I want you to celebrate the progress you've made and give yourself grace as you navigate this new chapter. Maybe you've never done this before. Don't add on pain to the pressure you're already feeling and try to bounce back. Instead, focus on who you are becoming. Myth number 6, you'll never feel like yourself again after pregnancy. Ooh, man, some moms are led to believe that their bodies and minds are forever changed in a way that they'll never fully recover from. But here is the truth. You'll never be the same. But that doesn't mean worse. It is true that once postpartum, always postpartum. There are physiological changes that happen to your body through pregnancy and into postpartum. Like, hello, you still have your child's cells inside your uterus. That is just absolutely mind-blowing to me that they are a part of you. And our hips are wider this side of pregnancy. In fact, here's the reality though, outside of these changes, you could be stronger, you could be wiser, you could be way more capable than you ever thought you could be. Here's the hot take. You are not meant to be the same. And that is a beautiful thing. God made butterflies, not to become caterpillars again, but to showcase the beauty of what happens through a transformation. So this is not about getting back to the old you. It is about growing into a new version of yourself. So here are 3 things you can do instead. Number 1 is learn to embrace the changes. Start by journaling about the positive ways you have grown through motherhood. Sit down this weekend. I want you to identify 2 ways you have grown since becoming a mom. Maybe you are much more patient. Maybe you are better at time management. Maybe you are more loving. Maybe you're more determined to get your workouts in. I don't know what that is for you, but I want you to write it down. Number 2, get moving with gentle exercises that you enjoy. Walking, yoga, swimming, strength training. Find something that sparks joy for you because movement was designed to be joyful. Number 3 is to set new fitness goals that focus on strength, flexibility, and overall health, not weight or appearance. If you did not hear my Why I Am Not Trying to Get a Summer Bod podcast episode, that link will be in the notes so that you have it, because in that I talk specifically about how to set new goals for this summer that have nothing to do with how your body looks. Moving on to myth number 7, you'll fully recover in 6 weeks. Here is this misconception that you'll be completely healed after 6 weeks. But the truth is that recovery is a journey. And for most women, full recovery takes much longer, sometimes up to 18 months. It blows my mind that if somebody has a ACL repair or a UCL repair or has a surgery on their back, that they are out from anywhere from 6 to 12 months. And yet, we expect people to give birth to a baby and be back to normal within 6 weeks. This is just insane. And it's no wonder why women set an expectation that leads to frustration. So here's what we can do instead. Take your time. Recovery is not linear. I put together this is not meant to be a podcast within a podcast, but I did put together a podcast about why postpartum is a slow journey, and that's okay. Will also be linked in the show notes. But I want you to give yourself grace and don't rush. Realize that slow can be good. Number 2 is I want you to focus on consistency, not perfection. Instead of trying to be perfect with a regimented routine, I just want you to slow down and focus on being consistent. If you've been trying to do a 5-day-a-week program and you've been doing it 1 day a week, dial down your goals. Shoot for 2 days a week. Get really consistent with 2. And then when you feel like adding on another 3rd one because you're a rock star and have been able to do 2, add on the 2nd one. Add on the 3rd one. And finally is to support your emotional well-being. Of all of the things that you see on Pinterest, you don't see enough women talking about postpartum depression and how we are rushed to take care of our bodies before we even address the absolute mind party that happens when you go through postpartum, that you no longer have your child with you in your belly, that you are no longer pregnant, that all of the anticipation and build up to delivery is now gone. It's like the show is over. Christmas is done. New Year's wasn't as good as you thought it was. We need to realize our emotional well-being is equally as important as our physical well-being postpartum. And so if you have not already yet, and you find yourself being in a mentally dark place, please reach out to someone for some counseling and support. You are not alone, and it does not make you weak if you are feeling the postpartum blues. Reach out to a counselor, reach out to a friend, talk with a friend who is older, who has been through this before, just to be able to process and share your story. Friend, you are not behind and you are not broken, and you are definitely not a project to fix. And I hope that you are feeling that after listening to this podcast episode. In fact, you are a masterpiece in progress. So let's train like it, with wisdom, with wonder, and with grace. And as always, if this podcast episode resonated with you, if you found it helpful, if maybe some of these myths are ones that you were just talking to a friend about, would you do me a solid and share this episode with her so that she can be in the know and know some more truth? Until next time, friends, stay strong. All the love, Coach Laura.